Speaking of the Federal Reserve, we do have some breaking news here. The Senate Banking Committee has voted along party lines to back the nomination of Trump advisor Stephen Miran to a short-term post as a Fed governor. Speaking of Fed governors, Republicans, of course, moving swiftly to seat him before that FOMC meeting. So we want to bring in Stuart Paul right now, U.S. economist with Bloomberg Economics. So, Stuart, this means that vacancy left by Adriana Kugler will be filled by Stephen Miran. And we already pretty much know what Stephen Miran is going to vote for, don't we?
I think the biggest question about what he's going to vote for is whether he's going to vote for 25 or 50, but he is certainly going to be voting for a cut.
So Miran now joins two Fed governors that Trump appointed during his first term. So slowly, President Trump is getting more control, I guess we'll call it, over this current Federal Reserve Board.
That's definitely right. I mean, by my count, he has 3 votes on the board now. Stephen Miran just got voted through the Senate Banking Committee. He's then going to get a cloture vote. He's then going to get a floor vote. He's very likely to be confirmed by the full Senate before the meeting next week. So by my count, there are 3 board members who are a mortal lock for voting for a cut. And that's, of course, Bowman, Waller, who's in contention to be the next chairman of the Fed, and Stephen Miran, who's going to be confirmed before the next meeting. We also have probably 3 branch presidents who are a mortal lock to vote for a cut, likely a 25 basis point cut. I'd guess that they'd be Williams from New York, who has said that he sees monetary policy as especially restrictive, Goolsbee in Chicago, who leans a little bit more dovish, and very likely Susan Collins in Boston. She was relatively hawkish in Jackson Hole, but has since changed her tone. We know that Powell, Barr, and Jefferson are also sort of incrementally rotating towards a more dovish stance. And so now we get to 9 votes. But those are also folks who are going to be a little bit more cautious about taking the elevator down on rates. They don't want to look like they're capitulating to political pressure.
Right.
So we could very easily get 9 votes, like very simple counting, 9 votes in favor of a 25 basis point cut, but probably not 50.
Thank you for the reminder that there are still several steps before Miran is, sitting on the FOMC board. However, it feels like it's a rubber stamp process from here on out. Just give us a reminder, when I said earlier that this is a short-term post, at some point he might get the full 14-year Fed governor seat, right?
That's right. So it's sort of interesting that the terms of governorships last for 14 years, and if somebody leaves their post before the governorship expires, a person is appointed to continue in their seat for the remainder of the governorship. So the Kugler seat, soon to be the Miran seat, expires in January. At the end of January, Miran would have to leave, presumably to go back to the CEA, but a new 14-year governorship will begin. And it's reasonable to expect that he's going to be confirmed by the Senate. If Trump doesn't find somebody that he likes more than Stephen Miran, then he could just reappoint him to the seat. But Trump might also use the opportunity to pick someone who he expects to be the next governor. This 14-year governorship has a lot of option value in that you could put somebody on the board to fill the governorship for 14 years and then effectively promote them to chairman for a 4-year term that runs concurrently with that 14-year governorship. Very complicated under the Federal Reserve Act, but this short-term post that expires in January really just means that there's a new 14-year term that'll be coming up in January.
And of course, the Democrats highlighting the fact that there's a possible conflict of interest here, right? I mean, Miran is part of the White House administration right now. He has said that if he were to see this term through, right, so until January, that if he were then instated for this role for the next 14 years, he would step away from the White House position. What's your take on that?
I think the White House counsel is doing a great and creative job preserving that option value. Yes, so the CEA chairman is a Senate-confirmed position. It would be a huge pain to have Stephen Miran, it would be a huge burden and a huge pain for him to resign from the CEA, requiring a new person to be appointed and then confirmed. And now you're going through 3 different Senate confirmation processes. Miran right now, a new CEA chair, and then whoever fills the 14-year term that begins in January. Instead, White House counsel has said that he could just take an unpaid leave of absence from the CEA. He can fill this Kugler seat for several months, And if he does not stay on the Fed, he can then resume his job
That is
at CEA.
creative.
It's
I'll give him
creative,
that.
yeah.